and welcome again, right, to episode 34. Can you believe that, Simon? We've done 34 of them.
Amazing.
It's amazing indeed. So we've got a special guest today, but before we do that, I'm just going to tell the audience what we do. So the first thing is what I do. I help individuals, business owners, with customized retreats, workshops, and consultations to maximize their feelings of vibrance, purposefulness, happiness, health, and success. And what do you do, Simon?
Yeah, g'day, Tony. How are you? Great to see you on this beautiful sunny morning here in Melbourne. What's the weather like down there, my friend?
A little bit cloudy today.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a bit of a not so good, but today's a good, really good day. It's going to get better.
I'm happy to boast that I'm looking out the window at the moment. We've got a beautiful blue sky, not a cloud in the sky. And today is going to be a great day. So for those that don't know me, my name is Simon Bowden. I'm an international marketing business coach with 25 years experience, which makes me a master coach. My mission is always to help my clients identify their aspirations and vision, strengths and blind spots. Help them make informed decisions and take actions when needed to ultimately fast track them towards their personal goals. My coaching caters for executives and directors to entrepreneurs, small business owners, and beyond. Whatever your situation, I'll help you build on your strengths and get clear on how to create a profitable future. I love what I do, and I'm passionate about helping my clients succeed, Tony, as you know.
That's right. Now, Simon, what's our mission?
You can share it.
Yeah, well, our mission is to educate and engage with our audience with lively discussions with experts to gain their valuable experiences, tips, benefits of the business and well-being practices they can offer. So we've got a special guest today, haven't we, Simon? We've got Alan Marshall. And say hello, Alan.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Marshall. I'm living in southern Tasmania, very close to where Tony is. And my mission is to be me for the rest of my life. It takes a lot of practice, I assure you.
It certainly does. And allow me to read out Alan's bio, please. Alan is a highly respected elder and member of the Tasman Eco Village and has been a member there for 10 years. He is passionate about sustainability, water, energy, water recycling, researching azolla, and looking after the soil. Born in England and has travelled to various countries such as Africa, India, Haiti, in the Caribbean. So you've been well travelled there, haven't you, Alan? His past history highlights: born in 1941 on England's south coast and remembers the wartime air raids. He also has had a strong connection with the land and growing food. His dad was a market gardener all his life. Alan served in the British Royal Navy for 9 years. During this time, he trained as a medical radiographer. After leaving the Navy, he worked at the Bristol Royal Infirmary for 3 years before going as a volunteer radiographer to Tanzania, East Africa. Wow. Having experienced the wide open spaces and adventure of Africa, Australia naturally beaconed, and he came out in 1976. Within his profession of radiography, he saw a need for a mobile service to private hospitals and nursing homes and set up his own business, Alan Ray's, in Melbourne. He pioneered the use of the laptop computer for his cash book, invoicing, record keeping, and payroll. The machine he was using, if people can remember, was the humble Tandy 100, boasting a grand total of 24 kilobytes of memory. Wow. Currently, he's researching and keeping his mind active. Well, today, our theme is going to be on sustainability. And boy, doesn't the world need that now, Simon, doesn't it? Sustainability. We're using up a lot of resources, and we need to be a little bit more sensible how we use those resources, so that we can think about having those resources for our grandchildren and beyond.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'll lead us to the first question. And Alan, share us your passion for radiography, and what inspired you to do that?
Well, Tony, being in the Royal Navy at the time, I started off as a sick berth attendant. That's you're trained to give medical service on board ships, and it's general nursing and all manner of stuff like that. But I got the chance to do this course in radiography. It was a civilian course of 2 years in those years. And so I slotted into radiography. Oh, I had actually served on the mobile chest X-ray survey in the Navy, traveling around Britain to various establishments taking chest X-rays.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a sort of a dog's body in that sort of job.
Yeah.
Winding up cables and all that sort of thing. But I did at least learn to recite every single bone in the human body up to that time. That's even before I became a radiographer. So that's my attraction to radiography. Beautiful. And gradually as I went along, I got to know electricity and the electrical things, the electronics, as well as anatomy. And that really set me up for the rest of my working life for 45 years.
Beautiful. Now, Simon,
what was the major challenge in your life, Alan? And how did you manage it?
My major challenge was really growing up. I'd started off as a baby in wartime Britain. I wasn't thriving by 9 months. My mother couldn't breastfeed me because of breast abscess, and they at last got a substitute food for me, but I wasn't thriving very well. I wasn't very healthy at the time, and my sister, who had been born about 11 months before me, also in the wartime, I think got a bit jealous, as little siblings do, and I got bullied, and I became, for one reason or another, became very much a lonely person, a lonely boy, all the way through my life. Through my Navy service, I was a lonely as well. So I did end up being a good team member. I worked best by myself and doing my own thing, working out my own solutions to problems. So that's been my biggest hurdle all the way through my life, is learning to be me, and self-resilient, if you like.
And that's obviously carried you through your life and served you well, by the sounds of it.
It did indeed, yeah. Yes, and yes, I think I managed to survive very well.
Yeah,
despite
well
all the
done. Well done.
That's right. I'm very curious, Alan. Share us your experience in computing. A Tandy 100. Tell the audience what that is. That's a lot of people won't know what a Tandy 100 is.
Yeah. Well, whilst I was in Malta with the Navy, I saw people using one finger typing, and I thought, I'm going to teach myself to touch type, and I did. Yeah. I bought a little tiny Olivetti Letter 32, very small computer, and taught myself to touch type, and that's benefited all my life. I can still do it quite well. So when I decided to set up a business in my role as a radiographer, as you mentioned earlier, Tony. And in that business, I decided I need to have some computing. And this was 1985, 86, before personal computers were really coming in.
Yep.
We'd had the VIC-20 where you had to plug it into your TV. And then we had this little Tandy, which I mentioned. Commodore 64 was all the rage in those days. But the Tandy was the same size as your personal computer in front of you in area, but it was about that thick. And it had 8 lines of LCD printout. It contained its own version of basic computer language. And I thought this was going to be useful in the vans, which I was going to use for my mobile X-ray service, because the van was made up as a darkroom. And I set to and taught myself this basic language and wrote all my programs for printing invoices, keeping a day book, information about every patient I X-rayed. There's the invoice went to the radiologist who was going to report the films. And at the end of the day, I dumped the serial data from that tiny Tandy into a big 286 computer desktop, which had all of 40 megabytes of hard disk. Wow, that was enormous. And remember, I was only dealing with 23K bytes of memory in this little laptop. But it worked well, and I could print from it and labels and that type of thing. And it was the first little computer which journalists use actually for sending reports by a serial, modem, if you like, which you attached to a telephone. You had a sort of an input and output through the telephone receiver. So the little Tandy was my introduction to computers, and that was 40 odd years ago almost, wasn't it?
And not only that, you wrote some systems, I hear. You wrote the payroll systems and other business systems.
That's right, yes. Yes, each little sort of a program which I wrote printed out my pay sheet and my colleague's pay sheet, because I employed a person. And that worked well. And I've still got printings of that programming, which I did even today. And,
so you must have been very efficient to do that, because you only had, 24K?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Computing in those days needed a lot of ingenuity, and there were people far better at it than I was, very capable. But it was enjoyable because I could actually say, I need to do this and work out a way of doing it and get it to succeed. And those programs lasted me for 5 or 6, 7, 8 years, right the way through, modifying them slightly. So it was quite an interesting and exciting and a rewarding little enterprise, if you like.
I suppose, Alan, you've seen the full evolution, I suppose, of what computers can do today. Even myself, when I entered my university degree, I started as a graphic designer. And I remember very vividly back in the early 80s when I was doing that I was in, I think I was in 3rd year, and 1st year got computers. And I remember saying to myself, gee, there's no way in the world that computers are ever going to take over what we do from a design point of view today. But, how wrong I was. But I suppose from your point of view, you would have seen a major transformation, perhaps over the years, from perhaps where you started with that Tandy versus what you see today. Would be incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the computing technology has kept pace with all the other technologies in every branch of science and technology. I think in the medical side, ultrasound, CT scanning would never have been possible without computing.
Yes.
And ultrasound for examining human beings was around about 1970. That was just starting when I was at the Bristol Royal Infirmary. And there were no computers there, only sort of punch tape and scope and so on. So it's grown and grown enormously.
I'd like to take you back to where you were saying before. You were mentioning that you were in the British Navy for 9 years as a radiographer. What triggered you to leave the Navy back then to find new opportunities?
Well, I obviously had some medical knowledge, medical nursing knowledge and so on, and I wanted to get into some kind of design, artwork, or designing machines of something like that nature. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted, but the first job which I got just after I left the Navy was with a company in London, and that job was available. That's why I left the Navy then. I thought, well, I'm not going out to nothing. I'm going out to a specific purpose. That company in London was selling anatomical models and wall charts and real skeletons, real human skeletons.
Wow.
So they took me on, but they took me on as a salesman, a salesperson.
Yes.
That didn't really work because I've said earlier that I'm not really a teamwork and I'm not a social person. That sort of social person. You need to be a social person as a salesperson. And I was not that. So then I went with a 3M company, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, who had a new X-ray products division. They took me on again as a salesman. And it didn't work. After a year, I said, look, I'm not selling anything for you. I had to go. So I went back into the Royal Infirmary at Bristol as a radiographer, basically. That's how I sort of left the Navy. They had offered me to get a commission as a lieutenant, sub-lieutenant. And again, I don't like controlling people. I take all the time and effort controlling myself, let alone other people. So I had to face facts, get to know myself, and do what's true and what's honest for me.
Yeah. So what lessons would you say that you learnt as a result of potentially leaving the Navy to go out and find something different and then to, let's say, revert back?
Well, let's start with having been employed first. Lessons from that. The people running those two companies did not assess me as to my true assets, my abilities, and my shortcomings. They didn't look at those. Therefore, the managers of those businesses employed the wrong person for that job. And I think it's a huge lesson in that. Anyone trying to take on a person as an employee, you're not doing the employee or your customers or your business any good if you don't face facts. That's the first one. Now, coming to my own work in business, where I was setting up my mobile X-ray service in Melbourne, I was using my computer. I was using the van initially and going around nursing homes, and people loved the work that I did. That was my expertise, dealing with elderly people, getting the technical things right. The radiologists were enjoying the work I did. But I made the mistake of spending too much time on the computer up till 11 o'clock at night, trying to get my programs working just right, and getting the money in to pay for my service. I was often on the blower onto people who owed me money. This is the next, probably the most important area, that when I'm good at doing the professional work, which people love, when I go to the same people and say, look, you owe me money, that leaves a nasty taste in your mouth.
Yes.
And it's not for the person who's the professional to be doing that. And I should have done the right thing and got someone else to get that money in for me. So that if a client said, Alan, what about this invoice? I would have been able to say, yes, I fully understand that. Look, I would be exactly feeling the same thing in your position, but I'm sorry, it's out of my hands. You'll have to speak to someone else about that. That would have left me free to do my professional work, and probably I'd have earned more money by doing that.
Yeah, very interesting, Alan. That as a coach, it's interesting that that's advice that I actually give my clients still to this day. They're trying to do the same thing as what you were doing back then. And we both know that it just doesn't work. So it's interesting that you were fighting that back then. So yeah.
Yeah, I went out of business then because I thought I'd have a business to be able to sell it to other people when I wanted to pack up. But people said, "Oh, if Alan Marshall can't keep that business going, no one else can." So they thought I was fantastic. So I didn't really do myself a service. I had to leave, and I'd gone into sort of debt. I put all my debts onto my mortgage, and that wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of energy to do it. And if I went back into that same service today, I would not need a darkroom. I would not need processing in the van. I would have all my electronics, my digital stuff, and I'd send all my results directly over the airwaves to a radiologist to report it. So I was about 20, 30 years too soon. There we are.
Very good. And now I'm very excited to talk about our main topic. The world is facing difficult times, and one enormous challenge is sustainability. And I know you've spent a lot of time and effort with sustainability. Can you share some of your thoughts?
Yeah, well, today, in fact, is World Earth Day, which celebrates 50 years of caring for the planet. So it's quite topical, isn't it, really?
Yep.
Just think about it. If suddenly locally we were in a difficult situation and all our networks, communication networks, our food, electricity, water, fuel, if they were curtailed and we had to go back to some basic ways of living, it's not an impossible situation. We're facing a hell of a world problem with these wars and so on. And I like to think that I can work on some of the basic down-to-earth, ground, basic alternative technologies, appropriate technologies, like I use somewhere in East Africa, and put these to good use and get a few people at least learning how to cope, how to survive when we haven't got all the technology at our fingertips. So I've been doing some research, long way from radiography, but it still takes my mind because I like to think through problems. And my focus is trying to do something good with the soil, adding some nutrients back into the soil, nutrients and some life back into the soil. Both are important. So that's what I'm working on. And as Tony, you know, I've got this system growing an aquatic fern called Azolla, Azolla, which is a fern which floats on the water and grows very fast. And it has the ability very efficiently to fix nitrogen from the air. And therefore, it's a high nitrogen fertilizer. It can also be used as a high protein supplement for chickens. And in India, they use it for cattle. And it can be put into the ground to grow rice crops and all manner of other food crops, just as a slow release nitrogen fertilizer. So that's what I'm researching at the moment. And I'm an associate of the Azolla Foundation, which you can look up on the internet. The Scientific American did a little bit on me, and they called me a citizen scientist, which I thought was rather a nice little tag. I had never thought of myself as that, but yeah, it's a beautiful area to research. A lot of history to it, which you can read in the Azolla Foundation's website. A lot of history, and I think it's got a huge potential.
Alan, tell the audience what you've actually done to your house, all the sustainability factors that you've done.
Yeah, okay. Well, two old office buildings, 3 meters by 6 meters, were brought together, close together, and made into a small house, just the right size for one person like me. A kitchen, lounge, bedroom, and bathroom. I've got some solar power on the roof. Not a huge amount, and it would not run the whole house, but it does give me a backup in case the power goes down for any reason. It also reduces my power bills very considerably over the summer months. I've got a cage on the front of the house to keep my cat in, which is my pride and joy. This little cat is a great friend for me. His name is Fiki, F-I-K-I, which is short for Rafiki, a Swahili word which means friend.
Yeah.
He's good company. I've got a chicken and one hen and 4 roosters. One of those will go into the pot now and then. I've got this azola growing around the house, learning how to grow it, how to feed it, and how to harvest it and how to use it. So all manner of things which I'll experiment with. And this is my contribution to the sustainability of our lifestyle, if you like.
That's amazing. So what's next for Alan in your amazing life?
Well, I've entered eldership. You used that word elder earlier on, Tony.
Yes.
Eldership is something which we only come into later in life, I suppose. It's akin to mentorship, isn't it, earlier in life? If you're a father of 40, you've got a son or a daughter of 18, 19, 20, you're a mentor, but you're still an elder. It's the ability to listen, to question, keep asking questions, so that persons who's asking your advice can usually answer their own questions if you put more and more questions to them. And this is really what eldership is. Primarily listening. It's a service rather than anything else. It's not a big accolade. It's not something you can work for. You can't appoint yourself as an elder. I think it provides some adhesiveness to society. And I don't make any plans now. I'm 81, almost getting on for 81. I don't make plans these days. I have dreams, and I follow the dreams up to a point. And there's potential that I can go for another 19 years, maybe get a letter from the king, as it will be then. Who knows? But that doesn't matter to me. It's more a carrying on, facing the moment, facing the day as it is, seeing whatever comes up. I'm not averse to some new adventures. If someone came up with an idea and some finance to put me on another venture, I'd do so, but I haven't got much money now, so I'm very much happy to be in my own little house here, doing my ideas and doing more research if I can. So that's my objectives.
Now, Alan, I'm just looking at the time. We're pretty much past the top of the hour. So there's a question for you. One question. If there was one message you'd want to share with the audience, what would it be?
Don't try to run before you can walk. Be prepared to learn the groundwork of whatever you want to do. Learn it thoroughly from people who already know. Build on that, but don't try to be an assistant manager before you've succeeded at being an assistant.
That's great. That's great, and it certainly comes across in my world as well as a coach. There's no shortcuts to anything in life. The ones that put the hard yards in are the ones that are successful at the end of the day. And I totally agree with you, Alan. And I think that's wisdom at its best, my friend. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you very much,
Alan. the main takeaways I got today was your wisdom, as Simon just mentioned there. You think things through. You're also very creative. You're a pioneer. And I'd
Yes.
like to acknowledge that in you, how you work with the Tandem 100, how you set up your business as the portable Alan Ray. I reckon that was, in that time, that would have been pretty novel.
Yeah.
And,
The greatest trial now is trying to do nothing. It takes a lot of practice.
that's right. That's
I
right.
love it. Sorry, Tony, go on.
So thank you, Alan, for coming on the show. I think you gave us some pearls of wisdom there. And I'll hand it over to Simon. What pearls of wisdom did you get?
I just wanted to acknowledge Alan also for knowing all the bones in the human body. I think that's an amazing feat. I think, how many is it, Alan?
206 or 210. If you count the pelvis as 2 bones, then it's 206. If you count the pelvis as 6 bones, it's 210.
Well, there you go. So there, I've learned something new today, and that's amazing to be able to recite all those human bones. I think would be is fascinating just in itself, I think. So, but anyway, thank you very much, Alan. We really appreciate you coming onto our show today and sharing sharing all those amazing feats that you've been involved in over your life. It's certainly incredible. For our listeners out there, we have a remarkable person next on our show. In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to leave it as a secret again because I think I'm going to leave it as a secret, Tony, because this person is definitely worth tuning into. I'm not going to say very much, but in 2 weeks' time, same place, you will see a remarkable person and what they've achieved in their life. So please tune in. But I want to say thank you, Tony. I appreciate you, my friend, and also Alan for coming on to our show again today. It's been wonderful again. I love doing this, and we love inspiring people to believe in themselves and to be successful in their lives. And Alan's certainly shown us how that can be achieved. So thank you, boys. Much appreciated.
Thank you very
much. Have a fantastic day ahead, and
upwards and onwards,
as they say in the classics, Tony. All the best. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.